Powered Top Fuel Dragster.
Welcome back live to Concord, North Carolina at ZMAX Dragway. It is the 4-Wide Nationals, the second of 2 4-wide races. We have another winner of the 4-Wide Nationals from Vegas, this time in the funny car category, Bob Tasca III. How you doing, Bob?
Hey, listen, we've had better mornings. This morning I spent with NHRA Tech, and, you know, not to derail the show, but we're not quite sure we're going to race today. Quite frankly, we may pack up and leave. And the harsh reality is that our run last night was in question due to our manifold. We put an AJ manifold on our car. First time we have ever done that at a race. And we flow our manifolds. And the reason why we flow them, and Tony will attest, there is no two manifolds the same.
Sure.
They're different. And quite frankly, AJ's is one of the best ones that we've flowed for consistency, but they're not the same. And we do that because we want to know how to feed the fuel to each nozzle. And as a result, to flow it, and again, I'm not an engineer, I don't know how to flow it, but they clean it, they acid wash it, because it goes on a flow machine at Wilson, and he gives us the numbers. It changes the color. This is, we're having a conversation right now about color of the manifold. There is no dimensional change to the manifold. The manufacturer, Alan Johnson, who makes the manifold, met this morning with me and said there's no dimensional change with the manifold. So a dimensional change is a performance advantage.
Sure, like in your street car, if you poured a manifold.
Color is not a performance advantage. But in the NHRA rulebook, any modification, any form of modification is deemed not allowable. Well, we lap manifolds. We sand blower cases to fit the blueprint of blower. We blow up cylinder heads, we weld them, and there is not a cylinder head that is repaired back to the factory original, not a single one. So it gets back to common sense. In Gainesville, I gave all my manifolds to NHRA, force manifolds at the time we were running. They're different colors. They were flowed. We gave them to them and said, listen, we just want to make sure there's no drama with any of these manifolds. They gave them back to us. They did not tell me I couldn't run them. But today they tell me, well, we gave them back to you, but we didn't tell you that they were legal. I said, okay, so you gave me a part back to run. So now all of the manifolds in my trailer have been flowed, every one of them. I don't have a part to run this race. So at this point, I don't know if we'll run this weekend. And it's just a shame that the truth is not harmed by the truth. If we did something wrong, if we dimensionally changed the part, it's unacceptable.
Sure.
Changing the color, and I would deal with it, I would accept it, and I would move on. But to change the color, there's no dimensional change, which means there's no performance advantage. Because Wilson uses a technique, whether he bead blasts the surface to clean any burrs, acid washes it, whatever he does, that's his process.
It's made out of magnesium, right?
It's made out of magnesium.
Yeah, so magnesium changes color.
I don't know, but for us to be, I think they DNQ'd my run. I think it's DNQ'd. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Did not hear about that
yet. So I think it's DNQ'd. But if that's the ruling, then I'm going to pack my stuff up and leave, and we'll have to regroup for the next race, because I'm not going to go start taking parts out of the pit, putting on my race car that I don't know what they are, and blow up a race car out there going 335 miles per hour. But it's just very frustrating as a racer, and it's a shame that we got to talk about this, but that's what I'm dealing with.
Where did this start? For instance, did somebody say, hey, go look at his manifold? Like, where did
it actually started in Gainesville. Started in Gainesville. There was rumors that we were running illegal manifolds. And I said, beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, because here's all our manifolds. Like, we gave them to them.
Sure.
If they're illegal, something's wrong, tell us. They gave them back. We ran them all through the season. We've been testing this AJ manifold. We think it's better. I mean, racers are trying to find better parts.
Yep.
We did the same thing. We flowed it. We wanted to see the difference between the part we were running and the part we're going to put it on. Logical thing to do. And get some nozzle numbers on it, which we did. And we ran it here yesterday. And they came in our trailer, just wanted to start taking manifolds. And they came to me today. They told me there were no dimensional changes. However, the process that Wilson uses did change the color. They don't like the term bead blasting, whatever that is. I went to Alan Johnson, the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I said, AJ, if my guys are doing something wrong, tell me right now. He said, there's no dimensional change. We would like to know what Wilson's doing to change the color of it, which is fine, logical question. But there is no dimensional change with the manifold, period.
Let me just interject this. From my experience, when you're dealing with magnesium, aluminum, there are certain cleaners that you can spray to clean a part that'll change the color. Are there any other teams that send their intake manifolds to get flowed from Wilson?
That was one of the things that they said. The answer to the question, I don't know what Wilson flows or doesn't flow. There are a lot of the big teams that have their own flow benches. We can't afford a flow bench to do that type of work. We don't have that type of equipment at our shop. I'm sure Force does. I'm sure Schumacher does. So we send our part to Wilson Manifolds.
Yeah.
So can't answer the question, Tony.
Yep. And how long? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, I mean, anything from guys used to use oven cleaner to polish magnesium wheels back in the day. Even a soda blaster would probably change the color or something. So I guess the next natural question is this an ongoing conversation or is the case closed here?
I don't know. I mean, they left my trail. I told them, I said, if we're having a conversation about dimensional change, I take that very seriously. I take my reputation very seriously. And I will address it. I'll address it publicly in front of the cameras.
Well, yeah, because that's clear-cut cheating.
And it's clear-cut cheating.
Yeah.
But if the manufacturer said there's no dimensional changes, NHRA told me this morning there's no dimensional changes. However, the finish, the color is different. Well, I don't know how that is a performance advantage, but per their rule book, it doesn't have to be a performance advantage. Any modification at all, which is a very slippery slope.
So you have to define modification.
Now let's have a definition of modification because the blower cases are modified, the